Welcome back to On Purpose by Design. In these short segments, you'll be equipped with the tools that will support you in leading effectively at work, at home, and in every area of your life. In the process, giving you the opportunity to step into the calling and mission that God has placed deep into your heart. Today, we're exploring how to create a culture driven by leadership that thrives. Too many companies right now misunderstand and confuse what leadership means. Leadership is not about control. It is about culture. It is about creating an atmosphere that drives a level of engagement, performance, and action that goes beyond someone having to tell somebody what to do. This is the kind of leadership-driven culture that is going to support you in creating a profitable, sustainable, and more importantly, joyous and fulfilled business and work environment. So here's how we're going to build a team that thrives, particularly again around leadership-driven culture. Number one, you got to create a space where people are owning their roles. You need to empower, don't micromanage. The moment that you start to micromanage, you're now telling the person on the other side that they are not big enough, that they're not able to handle what you're asking them to do. This is where you as the leader typically becomes the bottleneck. Seen this many times over and over. The CEO is really good at what they do. They start to build a team. Next thing they know, they become the bottleneck in the business. This is really important to be mindful for, because if you haven't experienced it yet, maybe you're going through it now on an unconscious level, or maybe you're given the tools to be able to do so. Congratulations. Everybody goes through it. The moment that you start to understand that you are going to hit this bottleneck is the moment that you can be mindful for it. And this is how you can start to empower others in stepping into their roles at new levels. We always say, give me somebody that is willing over somebody that is talented. This ties in with this because if somebody is taking action within their own initiative, that person owns their role. They own what they're doing. They own their position. You could even say that in their mind, psychologically, they own the company. This is a really key differentiator between people that are just showing up doing enough to be there versus those that are going above and beyond. The ones that are going above and beyond are the ones that own what they're doing. They have a sense of responsibility that they take up as if this business, this company that they are in was their own. Your role, again, as a leader is to create that space, create that environment. How do you do so? By empowering others. Be the leader that is willing and able to give somebody a task, give them some clear ideas as to what it could look like, and then let them figure it out. Even when you see them messing up, you can still let them see how they're going to go about it. Now, if they're about to do something that is going to obviously be detrimental to themselves, the business, and everything else, then yeah, of course, get in the way and say something. But don't be too quick to get in the way when you see somebody making a mistake, right? We see this with kids all the time. You let the kid fall. When they're learning how to walk, you don't just stop them the moment they start to wiggle. No, they actually are finding balance in that moment. They need to go through that. We humans, we're just grown up babies. So as we're going through those moments of wiggling, obviously metaphorically, that's where we're going to find our stability. That's where our leadership grows, our initiative grows. And as the leader, your role is to empower where people feel safe to go through that. Don't micromanage. Don't become the babysitter. That's the last thing anybody wants to feel like. They don't want to feel like they're being babysat. You don't want to be a babysitter, so stop doing it. Stop micromanaging and instead empowering others. Number two, psychological safety is going to promote innovation and is going to promote a new level of performance within the organization. When you give people the safety to be able to open up, to create a conversation where they may not necessarily be comfortable, however it needs to be had, you'll see that the way in which the company starts to move and the dynamic internally is going to make a massive positive impact in the role for people in the business. Not only is it going to grow your profits because people are engaging more with the work, but the way in which the work is going to be at a higher level, which ultimately is going to support you and maybe raising your prices because your services are such a good standard and such good quality. Your role as again, the leader, the manager, the owner, wherever position you're in, is you need to be willing to create a safe of psychological safety. Now, that's a big conversation. A simple way in which you can start to explore this and create this is by showing up as being vulnerable. I've seen many times again where a leader starts to break down. They don't know how to do so, so they put on the strong face, they put on the shield of courage. However, when that happens, you can see the team starts to disconnect. Now, mind you, this isn't happening consciously. Nobody's talking about this. This is when you walk into the boardroom, when you walk into the office, and you just feel a sense of tension somewhere. Like you don't know what's going on. Somewhere there is tension. You don't know where it came from. Maybe you weren't even a part of it, but you feel it. It's because people put up walls. If instead we become vulnerable with each other, we share what we're going through, it's going to create a whole new level of dynamic in the relationship, which is going to obviously impact business. This is where we used to do what we called a sharpening sessions at my previous company. Sharpening sessions were really simple. All we would do is we were sharing with each other what we could see the other person to do better. This isn't a time to critique and to make wrong. This is a time to help them see maybe what they didn't see for themselves. And it was during these sharpening sessions where people, the team, was starting to literally elevate to completely new levels. Why? Because the team felt a sense of safety to open up and share. Create that space, be vulnerable, and watch the way in which teams literally elevate their performance. And obviously the secondhand consequences are tremendous in a very positive way. And number 3, make sure that you are consistently bringing forth recognition because it retains talent. Bring recognition, and in that, you'll see that the team is going to be much more engaged because they're being celebrated. They feel like they're being seen. When you recognize the team and you recognize the work they've done, it gives them the chance to say, you know what, my boss, my manager, my team sees what I'm doing. Here's the crazy part. Recognize even when things don't go right. Recognize the fact that there was an action taken. Recognize that they took the initiative to do what needed to be done, even if the outcome wasn't what you necessarily desired. Now, don't get me wrong. If that happens 3, 4, 5 times, that's a different story. If it happens once, twice, okay, 3 times, now we're getting to a borderline. Because when you can give people the space to fail, you're giving them the opportunity to learn new lessons, which is going to exponentially grow their success. So recognize when somebody does something right. Recognize when somebody does something wrong. And I'm not saying recognize when somebody's something wrong as pointing them out and calling them out. No, you're recognizing the fact that they took action. Let's learn from them. Let's explore and take a look at what could be done differently next time so that this failure, this breakdown that now you experienced doesn't happen again. As you're celebrating wins, people are going to feel a deeper level of love. And ultimately, that's all we want. Some of the biggest companies say that the team members feel like they're a family. I'm sure you've heard that before in different organizations. This is your role, to create an environment where internally there's a sense of familiarity, a sense of a bond, of fellowship. At one of the companies I was at in my past, that's the way in which the team would describe themselves. And it was crazy because every single time somebody new would come into the organization, as we were bringing everybody in to create that sense of camaraderie, guess what? Everybody was saying something very similar. It feels like a family here. We're not just working. Now, once we got into a retreat where we were literally in person for a set period of time for 4 to 5 days, man, that changed everything. Company culture completely transformed. Team engagement went through the roof. Why? Because there was a camaraderie and a fellowship that made it possible for people to see themselves in new ways. And now fast forward 5, 6 months down the road, we're going through one of those challenging days because we all have them. Guess what? What happened at the retreat, the fellowship, the bond, the connection, that trust, all of that would come in and fuel. Mind you, this isn't happening consciously again. You could, however, use that information and use the experiences to boost the team morale when it is low. So it's really key to recognize both the wins and both the failures. These 3 things, when done effectively, are going to support you in creating a leadership-driven culture that's going to help you scale rapidly. It's going to help you take your company to the next level as you deepen the relationship, you increase engagement, you support people in performing better. And as you'll see, your fulfillment, your joy, the day-to-day is going to take on a whole new light. Try them on. Which one of these 3 would you say for yourself has been the biggest challenge so far? And what are you going to do moving forward to transform that? See you next time.